Are you ready to uncover some of the most astonishing secrets hidden in the ancient world? Imagine a version of the Bible that completely changes what you know about the story of creation. Did you know there's an ancient version of the Bible where Eve isn't made from Adam's rib, but from divine light itself? Today, we'll take you on a journey through the Ethiopian Bible, one of the greatest mysteries in religious history, discovered in remote monasteries, filled with stories and lessons that the rest of the world has yet to hear. In this video, you'll discover secrets that could change the way you see human origins, the divine, and your very place in the universe. We'll explore the incredible creation story of Adam and Eve in the Ethiopian Bible, where humanity's true origins are revealed in a cosmic light. We'll dive into the real meaning behind the Garden of Eden, a place where heaven and earth merge, and how it offers a new perspective on the purpose of life. And finally, we'll unveil profound lessons about redemption and the true nature of sin that can help you transform your spiritual journey today. By the end of this video, you'll not only gain insight into a forgotten ancient text, but also discover practical wisdom that you can apply to enrich your own life. So if you're someone who loves to challenge conventional wisdom, who craves a deeper understanding of the divine, and wants to feel inspired to live a life of greater purpose and connection, then stay with us till the end. This journey of discovery will be unlike anything you've heard before. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon, because we have many more journeys into the unknown to come, and you won't want to miss them. Let's dive in and uncover the secrets of the Ethiopian Bible together. The Ethiopian Bible was written about 1,500 years ago in an ancient language called Ge'ez. To put it in perspective, this was during a time when ancient Rome still stood and the foundations of Western civilization were being laid. This era was marked by empires expanding, cultures merging, and the transmission of knowledge taking on new forms. The Ethiopian Bible represents an exceptional collection of spiritual writings that reflect an ancient worldview rich with symbolism, divine mysteries, and a deep connection with the universe. What makes this Bible particularly fascinating is that it contains 81 books, significantly more than the 66 books of the Protestant Bible or the 73 books of the Catholic Bible. Among these additional texts are writings like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, texts that were thought to have been lost for millennia and hold keys to forgotten ancient wisdom. One especially intriguing aspect is how the Ethiopian Bible describes the Garden of Eden. In the most revered book of ancient Ethiopia, called the Book of Kings, the Garden of Eden was not just a simple earthly garden, but a place where heaven and earth intertwined. It is described as a realm where divine light flowed down like rivers of crystal, a concept entirely different from the Genesis image of a quaint, earthly garden. In this ancient text, the garden is portrayed as a bridge between realms, a place saturated with divine presence, where the ethereal met the tangible, and the boundaries of physical reality merged with the spiritual. But why are these differences important? They aren't just minor variations in the same story. Each difference carries profound implications about how ancient people understood their origins, their relationship with the Creator, and the true nature of sin and redemption. These variations reflect the depth of their spiritual insight and the complex symbolism they attach to existence. In this video, we will delve into three main aspects of these fascinating differences. First, we will explore how the Ethiopian Bible describes the creation of Adam and Eve, shedding light on their true nature. Second, we will unravel the unique revelations about the Garden of Eden and the fall of man, exploring the symbolism and deeper meanings. Lastly, we will discuss the deep lessons these variations offer us today and how they can inspire a more profound understanding of our spiritual journey. This journey of discovery is not just a lesson in history or religion. It is a story about how an ancient text from the distant land of Ethiopia can change the way we see ourselves and our place in the universe. It challenges the conventional narratives, inviting us to see beyond what we have always believed. Let's begin the journey to uncover these secrets, buried for millennia, and reflect on how they can help us grow spiritually in our own lives. According to the Ethiopian Bible, the first human was not created from ordinary dust, but from a special kind of earth, gathered from the four corners of the universe. This is just one of many astonishing revelations that this ancient version of the Bible offers about the origins of humanity. The book of Kainost, chapter 3, 12-25, describes in vivid detail how the Creator sent angels to the four corners of the universe: the east, where the sun rises; the west, where the sunset glows; the north, representing the icy reaches; and the south, symbolizing warmth and fertility. From each place, the angels brought back a portion of sacred earth, moistened with the dew of heaven and purified by the light of the stars. The meticulous preparation in creating the first human stands in stark contrast to the simple description we find in Genesis, where God simply forms man from dust. Here, the imagery emphasizes a cosmic element to humanity, with every aspect of creation contributing to the making of Adam. But what truly amazes me is the process of breathing life into Adam. The book of Unveiled, chapter 2, 23-27, states, "When Adam's form was complete, the Creator did not merely bestow an ordinary breath of life. Instead, he placed within Adam a divine spark, a fragment of his own spirit. This spark shone within Adam's eyes, making them as clear as crystal and allowing Adam to see even the invisible dimensions of creation. It implies that Adam was not just a physical being, but also a vessel of divine light, inherently connected to the Creator in a way that allowed him to perceive the hidden aspects of reality." Another unique detail can be found in the book of Enoch, chapter 12, verse 4-8. It describes how, when Adam opened his eyes for the first time, the light from his gaze was so radiant that it illuminated the entire Garden of Eden. The angels had to shield their own eyes from this powerful light, for it bore the same divine essence as the Creator's. This idea that Adam's gaze could illuminate the entire garden symbolizes the purity of his being and his close relationship with the divine. These details are not just poetic flourishes. They represent a profound concept of the divine nature within humanity. The fact that Adam was created from earth, gathered from the four corners of the universe, suggests that humans embody a balance of all elements present in nature, symbolizing the holistic and interconnected aspect of our existence. In particular, the book of Cast, chapter 3, 28-30, reveals that the Creator taught Adam the language of the angels so that he could understand the mysteries of the universe. Adam was given the ability to name all things according to their true nature, for his eyes contained the light of divine understanding. This suggests that the first human language was not merely a system of symbols, but a powerful, divine tool to understand and interact with the deep nature of all things. Perhaps this explains the ancient belief in the power of words and incantations found in many cultures throughout history. Words were seen as not merely descriptive, but creative and transformative, holding the power to affect reality itself. While the story of Adam is indeed astonishing, the revelations about Eve are even more startling to researchers. You might be surprised to learn that according to the Ethiopian Bible, Eve was not created from Adam's rib. Instead, the book of Nagast, chapter 4, 8-12, tells us that while Adam was in a deep sleep, the Creator took the purest light from the morning stars and crystallized it into the form of Eve. Her body radiated a gentle glow like the moon, and her soul contained the wisdom of the angels. This presents a completely new perspective on gender equality in the creation narrative, one in which Eve is not a part of Adam, but an independent creation bearing her own divine light. This version challenges the traditional view of Eve as a mere extension of Adam, and instead presents her as an equal and complementary being created from the same divine substance. The book of Kwale, chapter 3, 4-7, further emphasizes this, stating that Eve was not an extension of Adam, but was given unique gifts, the ability to see and understand things Adam could not. This suggests a complementary relationship where both were equal but different, each carrying divine qualities that the other lacked. It redefines the original partnership between the first humans in a way that promotes balance and harmony. Eve's creation from divine light rather than physical matter also symbolizes a different aspect of the divine, perhaps one more intuitive, spiritual, and directly connected to the celestial realms. One particularly interesting aspect is the initial relationship between Adam, Eve, and the Creator. The book of Enoch, chapter 15, verse 8 to 11, writes that every morning, when the dew still lay on the grass, they could hear the footsteps of the Creator in the garden. His voice was like melodious music, and the light of his presence made the entire garden glow as if gilded. This poetic imagery suggests an intimate relationship between humanity and the divine, one where the Creator was not distant but walked among them, sharing wisdom and communion in a way that filled every part of their existence with meaning. In the book of Konos, chapter 5, 15 to 18, it records that Adam and Eve could see the invisible, hear the voices of angels, and understand the language of all creatures. They could see both the past and the future, for in their eyes was the light of divine wisdom. However, these extraordinary abilities also came with great responsibility. The book of Kufa, chapter 3, 20 to 23, warns, "With greater power comes greater responsibility." Adam and Eve were given the freedom to choose, but they also had to bear the consequences of those choices. This was the first covenant between the Creator and humanity, emphasizing that true freedom is inseparable from accountability. This leads us to an important question. If Adam and Eve were created so perfectly, what led to their fall, and why were these extraordinary abilities lost? The answer lies in the story of the Garden of Eden and the temptation, a story that, in the Ethiopian Bible, holds shocking details. We will explore these in the next section, delving into the unique symbolism of the Ethiopian Bible. According to the Ethiopian Bible, the Garden of Eden was not merely a garden on earth, but a sacred space existing at the boundary between the material and the spiritual worlds. This is one of the most astonishing revelations about humanity's first paradise. The book of Konos, chapter 6, 1 to 5, describes that the Garden of Eden was set atop a high mountain where the earth touched heaven. 4 crystalline rivers flowed from the mountain's peak, carrying divine light instead of ordinary water. The air itself carried the essence of eternal life, and each breath brought wisdom and a deeper connection to the Creator. This imagery shows the garden as a transcendent place, a liminal space where the divine and the mundane coexisted harmoniously. The book of Kafal, chapter 4, 8 to 12, goes on to describe how every sunset, when twilight bathed the garden in gold, the Creator would appear in the form of pure light. Adam and Eve could directly converse with him, learning the secrets of the universe and understanding the language of all creatures. This direct interaction with the Creator set the garden apart as a place of immense spiritual power and connection, where wisdom was freely shared and knowledge was abundant. However, the garden also contained strict rules. The Ethiopian book of Enoch, chapter 16, 15 to 19, reveals that there were 3 sacred trees in the garden: the tree of life, which granted immortality; the tree of knowledge, which provided understanding of all things; and the tree of light, the source of all divine energy. Adam and Eve were permitted to eat from the tree of life and the tree of light, but they were forbidden to approach the tree of knowledge until they had achieved full spiritual maturity. This introduces a profound perspective on human development. Unlike the traditional version that simply forbids the forbidden fruit, here we see a step-by-step plan for humanity's spiritual evolution, suggesting that knowledge must be approached with reverence and readiness. The book of Kabra Nagast, chapter 7, 3 to 7, describes the garden's ground as being as clear as crystal, reflecting heavenly light. The flowers did not merely emit fragrance, they produced angelic music when the wind blew through them. Every creature in the garden shone with its own light, creating a symphony of radiance and harmony. It was truly a paradise of divine presence, an unearthly space filled with wonder, where everything was imbued with the Creator's essence. But what truly shocks is how the Ethiopian Bible describes the process of temptation. Unlike the familiar image of a simple snake, the book of Kufa, chapter 5, 1 to 5, reveals that the tempter appeared in the form of a being of light, similar to the angels. It did not simply speak with words, but could create illusions of the future, showing Adam and Eve visions of what could be if they followed its path. Particularly interesting is how Eve was tempted. The book of Kynast, chapter 8, 12-16, describes that the tempter did not promise Eve mere knowledge, but the ability to create light and life, just like the Creator himself. It showed Eve visions of a world she could shape, where she could determine the laws of nature, promising her the ability to become like the Creator, a being of immense power and creative force. A shocking detail is found in the Ethiopian book of Enoch, chapter 17, verse 8-11. When Eve gave the forbidden fruit to Adam, their crystal clear eyes began to dim, and the divine light within them gradually faded. For the first time, they felt darkness, not just around them, but within their souls. This reveals a deep understanding of the nature of sin. It is not merely the breaking of a rule, but the gradual loss of divine qualities within oneself. Sin, in this sense, is about losing one's connection to the divine, a process of becoming less than what one was meant to be. The book of Kynast, chapter 9, 1-4, concludes by describing the moment when the Creator appeared in the garden after the fall. For the first time, Adam and Eve could not look directly at his light, not because the Creator had changed, but because they had lost the ability to perceive the divine. This was the true tragedy of the fall, the loss of their divine vision and connection. They no longer saw themselves or the world through the light of the divine, but through the dim lens of the material and mundane. These revelations are not just interesting additional details. They offer a completely new perspective on the nature of sin and the fall, not as a simple act of disobedience, but as a process of abandoning one's divine nature for personal ambition. This brings us to an essential question. If humans were created with such extraordinary abilities, is it possible to restore what was lost? The answer, according to the Ethiopian Bible, lies in the path to redemption. In the book of Kebron Ost, chapter 10, 1-5, it is written that after the fall, the entire nature around Adam and Eve changed. The flowers stopped producing angelic music. The ground was no longer as clear as crystal, and the language of all creatures became foreign to them. The cosmic impact of their fall was immense. The book of Kafal, chapter 6, 8-12, describes that the fall of Adam and Eve created a crack in the fabric of reality. The heavenly light could no longer flow freely to earth, and the distance between heaven and earth began to widen. The divine order had been disrupted, and the harmony that once existed was fractured. Yet the Ethiopian book of Enoch, chapter 18, 15-19, provides hope. It reveals that although the divine light within humanity had dimmed, it was never completely extinguished. In every human soul, there remained a small spark, a seed of the original divine potential. This spark is the basis for the hope of redemption. The book of Kon Ost, chapter 12, verse 5-9, describes how the Creator's mercy is not about erasing the consequences of the fall, but about giving humans the opportunity to gradually restore what was lost. Every act of kindness, every moment of understanding brightens a little of the remaining divine spark, allowing the light within to grow once more. This is an incredibly hopeful and practical message. Redemption, according to the Ethiopian Bible, is not a sudden event, but a long process of restoration and reconnection with one's divine nature. The book of Kwale, chapter 8, 15-18, concludes that the path back to divine light is not a journey backward to return to the Garden of Eden, but a journey forward to a higher state of consciousness, one in which humanity can maintain the freedom to choose while living in harmony with divine intent. It is about evolving to a new state of being, where the lessons of the past are integrated and the divine potential within is fully realized. These insights from the Ethiopian Bible are not just explanations of a distant past. They provide a framework for understanding the current state of humanity and the path forward. Perhaps, by understanding what we have lost, we can begin the journey to restore our inherent divine abilities. This journey is not merely an individual endeavor, but a collective one, where humanity, as a whole, can strive to rekindle the divine light and bring harmony back into the world. By embracing these teachings, we can aspire to a future where the divine potential within each of us shines brightly, illuminating the path towards a more enlightened and connected existence. However, this path is not without its challenges. The Ethiopian Bible reveals that the journey towards redemption is marked by tests, trials, and sacrifices. The book of Kubra Nagast, chapter 13, 1-8, speaks of the trials Adam and Eve faced after their exile from the garden. They had to contend with the harshness of the earth, which no longer provided its bounty freely. The once gentle elements became harsh. The animals that had once been their companions grew wary, and they had to learn to survive in a world that seemed hostile and unfamiliar. This was not simply a punishment, but a necessary step in their spiritual development, a way for them to learn humility, perseverance, and the value of divine grace. The book of Kwale, chapter 9, 5-12, describes how Adam and Eve, in their grief, sought the Creator's guidance. They prayed for forgiveness, fasting for many days, and shedding tears that mingled with the earth. The Creator, moved by their sincerity, promised them that although the path would be difficult, He would never abandon them. The divine spark within them, though diminished, was still there, a reminder of their origin and a beacon guiding them back to divine union. This message is profoundly comforting, reminding us that no matter how far we stray, the potential for redemption is always within reach. Interestingly, the Ethiopian Bible emphasizes the importance of community in the journey of redemption. The book of Kainost, chapter 14, 9-15, speaks of Adam and Eve's descendants and how they were encouraged to live in harmony with one another. The Creator's command was clear. Only through unity, compassion, and mutual support could humanity hope to restore what was lost. The trials faced by the descendants of Adam and Eve were not meant to be borne alone. The community was to be a reflection of the divine harmony that once existed in the garden, a microcosm of heaven on earth. The book of Konos, chapter 10, 1-10, also tells of how Adam, in his old age, gathered his children and grandchildren to impart the wisdom he had gained through his experiences. He spoke of the importance of humility, the dangers of pride, and the need to always seek the Creator's light. He taught them about the sacredness of creation, urging them to treat the earth and all its creatures with respect and reverence. This was a crucial lesson, one that emphasized that the restoration of the divine light within was intricately tied to the way humanity treated the world around them. This concept is further elaborated in the book of Kebran Ost, chapter 15, 11-20, which speaks of the interconnectedness of all creation. The fall of Adam and Eve not only affected humanity, but also disrupted the harmony of the entire universe. The rivers that once flowed with divine light now carried ordinary water, and the flowers that once sang with angelic voices were now silent. To restore the divine order, humanity had to recognize its role as a steward of creation, a caretaker entrusted with nurturing and protecting the world. This idea resonates deeply with modern concerns about environmental stewardship and the need to care for our planet. The Ethiopian Bible also provides unique insights into the role of divine beings in humanity's journey. The book of Enoch, chapter 20, 1-8, describes how the angels, who had once been humanity's companions in the garden, continued to watch over Adam and Eve after the fall. Some angels were tasked with guiding and protecting them, while others recorded their deeds, both good and bad. The angels acted as intermediaries, bridging the gap between the divine and the human. This suggests that humanity was never truly alone in its journey, that divine assistance was always present, even if unseen. One particularly powerful story is found in the book of Kwale, chapter 11, 4-14, where it is said that during a moment of deep despair, Eve was visited by an angel of light. The angel reminded her of her divine origin, encouraging her to continue on the path of redemption. The angel's words rekindled the hope within her, and she found the strength to persevere. This story highlights the importance of hope and the idea that even in the darkest moments, there is always a light that can guide us back to the divine. The Ethiopian Bible also presents a unique perspective on the concept of divine justice. The book of Kafal, chapter 13, verse 5-18, speaks of the balance between justice and mercy. While Adam and Eve faced the consequences of their actions, they were also given the chance to redeem themselves. The Creator's justice was not about punishment for the sake of punishment, but was aimed at guiding them back to the right path. This balance is a recurring theme. Divine justice is always tempered with compassion, and the goal is always the restoration of harmony and the realization of humanity's divine potential. The theme of divine justice is further explored in the Book of Konos, chapter 15, 1-12, which tells the story of one of Adam and Eve's descendants who strayed far from the path of righteousness. This individual, filled with pride and ambition, sought to dominate others and bend nature to his will. The consequences of his actions were severe, leading to suffering not only for himself, but also for those around him. However, the Creator, in his mercy, offered a chance to repent. Through a series of trials that stripped away his pride and arrogance, he came to understand the true nature of power, that it was not about domination, but about service and stewardship. This story serves as a powerful reminder of the transformative power of divine justice and the possibility of redemption, no matter how far one has fallen. The Ethiopian Bible also emphasizes the importance of knowledge and wisdom in the journey of redemption. The Book of Nest, chapter 16, 8-22, speaks of the knowledge of the light, a divine wisdom that was once inherent in humanity, but was obscured after the fall. This knowledge was not lost forever. It could be regained through sincere effort, prayer, and a deep connection with the Creator. The pursuit of wisdom was seen as a sacred duty, a way to reconnect with the divine and restore the original harmony of creation. This idea is echoed in many spiritual traditions, where the quest for knowledge is seen as a path to enlightenment and divine union. Interestingly, the Ethiopian Bible also includes prophecies about the coming of a Redeemer. The Book of Nagast, chapter 17, 1-10, speaks of a future descendant of Adam and Eve who would be born with the full divine light, untainted by the fall. This Redeemer would lead humanity back to the divine, restoring what was lost and ushering in a new era of harmony and peace. This prophecy provided hope to the descendants of Adam and Eve, reminding them that their efforts were not in vain, that one day the divine light would be fully restored and the original unity between heaven and earth would be reestablished. The Book of Kwale, chapter 13, 15-25, describes how this hope for a Redeemer shaped the lives of Adam and Eve's descendants. They lived with the expectation that their actions could contribute to the fulfillment of this prophecy, that by living righteously, seeking wisdom, and nurturing the divine spark within, they were helping to prepare the way for the Redeemer. This perspective gave meaning to their struggles and inspired them to persevere even in the face of hardship. One of the most beautiful aspects of the Ethiopian Bible is its emphasis on the sacredness of human potential. The Book of Ost, chapter 18, 8-18, speaks of the divine seed within every human being, a spark of the Creator's essence that, when nurtured, can grow into a radiant light. This divine seed is the source of all virtues, compassion, wisdom, courage, and love. The journey of life is seen as an opportunity to cultivate this seed, to allow it to flourish and shine, ultimately leading to union with the divine. This concept is a powerful reminder of the inherent value and potential of every human being, regardless of their current state. The Ethiopian Bible also speaks of the role of rituals and sacred practices in nurturing the divine seed. The Book of Kfal, chapter 14, 10-20, describes various rituals that were practiced by Adam and Eve's descendants, rituals of purification, prayer, and offering. These rituals were not merely symbolic. They were seen as a way to align oneself with the divine, to open oneself to the flow of divine grace, and to nurture the divine light within. The importance of intention in these practices is emphasized. What mattered was not the outward form of the ritual, but the sincerity and purity of heart with which it was performed. One particularly moving story is found in the Book of Kwale, chapter 15, 1-12, where it is said that Adam, near the end of his life, built an altar and offered a prayer of gratitude to the Creator. He thanked the Creator not only for the joys he had experienced, but also for the trials, which had taught him humility, patience, and the value of divine grace. This act of gratitude, even in the face of hardship, is a powerful testament to the transformative power of a thankful heart. It suggests that gratitude is a key to unlocking the divine potential within and reconnecting with the Creator. The Ethiopian Bible also provides profound insights into the nature of love. The Book of Nest, chapter 19, verse 5 to 15, speaks of the love between Adam and Eve, not as a mere romantic attachment, but as a divine union, a reflection of the unity between the Creator and creation. Their love was meant to be a source of strength, a way for them to support each other on their journey of redemption. Even after the fall, their love remained a beacon of hope, a reminder of their divine origin and their shared mission. This perspective on love as a sacred bond, a partnership in the journey towards divine union, is a beautiful reminder of the potential for human relationships to be a source of spiritual growth and transformation. In the book of Konos, chapter 21 to 10, the importance of forgiveness is emphasized. It tells the story of a time when Adam and Eve, burdened by the weight of their mistakes, found it difficult to forgive themselves. An angel appeared to them, reminding them that the Creator had already forgiven them and that they must now forgive themselves. This act of self-forgiveness was crucial in their journey, allowing them to move forward and continue nurturing the divine spark within. This story is a powerful reminder that forgiveness, both of oneself and others, is essential in the journey towards redemption and divine union. The Ethiopian Bible's teachings offer a rich tapestry of wisdom, filled with deep spiritual insights and practical guidance for living a life aligned with the divine. It challenges us to see beyond the surface of our existence, to recognize the divine potential within, and to strive towards the restoration of our original harmony with the Creator. The journey of Adam and Eve, as described in this ancient text, is not just their story, it is our story. It is the story of humanity, a story of fall and redemption, of lost potential, and the hope for restoration. Perhaps, by embracing the teachings of the Ethiopian Bible, we can begin to see our own lives in a new light. We can recognize the trials we face not as mere obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. We can see the divine spark within ourselves and others, and work towards nurturing that spark, allowing it to shine brightly. We can strive to live in harmony with creation, to treat the earth and all its creatures with respect, and to recognize our role as stewards of the divine order. And, most importantly, we can live with the hope that no matter